My Little Pony the Movie, a 2017 animated film by Hasbro and DHX Media. The film opens with the P-17 Pegasus doing recon before being intercepted by three more P-17s. The movie opens with the Pegasus soaring over California, Equestria, as we get a lovely aerial shot of Canterlot and hear a nice rendition of a classic song, showing that ponies do got the beat. We're introduced to one of our main characters, Twilight Sparkle, fretting over the big friendship festival she is in charge of. In typical nerdy Twilight fashion, of course, she tries to explain to the other princesses her idea for how the best lighting positions for the sun and moon should be. But Celestia and Luna ultimately say, "Screw you, don't tell us how to do what we've been doing for centuries." Nah, they just remind her that she's the princess of friendship and not to worry. The scene transitions to show the other members of the main six preparing for the festival with the tasks each took on. This segues into our second song of the movie, We Got This Together, and the first for the characters to sing. Soon after the festival guest, Songbird Serenade arrives. After a little humor, a dark cloud rolls in over Canterlot. An airship parks illegally at the festival, and we're introduced to Grubber and our secondary antagonist, Tempest Shadow. The princesses confront her, and Tempest reveals she needs their magic, giving them a choice: the easy way or the hard way. The hard way is chosen, and an invasion ensues, with stormtroopers invading Canterlot. Tempest uses a magical orb to turn Cadance into obsidian. Celestia tries to tell Luna to go south and find the Queen of the Hippo, and that's all she can say before she too is turned into a garden statue. Luna soon meets the same fate in her attempt to follow up on her sister's last words, and when Twilight becomes the final target, she's saved by a very unlikely savior, the one and only Derpy. Also known as Muffins, but I'm calling her Derpy. Meh. Twilight and her friends flee, but a deflection of her magic destroys the bridge they're standing on, and they fall to their doom. Credits roll. The end. Kidding! They survive and make it to shore. The main six decide to follow through on Celestia's last cryptic words and venture south in the hopes of finding the Hippo Queen. There's a clever joke here about hungry, hungry hippos. Hasbro owns the rights to the game, so nice meta joke there, Hasbro. You sly devils. Cue back to Canterlot, where we see our first introduction of the Storm King, who is having issues with his cell service, and Tempest tries to convince him to switch plans. Nah. We do learn he needs the magic of the princesses to power the staff of Psychonesis. We also learn that Tempest is working for him because he promised to return her horn back to its original state. Like we don't see this backfiring in the future. Cut to the desert, where the ponies are but a few simple steps away from either Las Pegasus or Area 15, whichever. But they find the yellow brick road that will lead them to Oz and somehow end up in Clugtown. It's not named in the film, I got it from the phone game, so let's just roll with it. The ponies meet the local townsfolk, one of whom is Capper, a sly, suave alley cat. Think Aladdin, but Thomas from Aristocats. He charms the ponies into trusting him, all except for Twilight, through the third song of the film, and they follow him to his humble abode. Meanwhile, Tempest has tracked the ponies to the village and is confronted by one of the larger town residents, who proceeds to get his butt handed to him on a silver platter with a side of burn. Thus he reveals, off-screen, the location of the ponies. At the same time, the ponies are showing Capper some kindness, which is somewhat shocking to the cat. The kindness isn't something he knows, and it begins to slowly affect him. Twilight, having found a book in his home, finds out it's not the Queen of the Hippos they must seek, but the Queen of the Hippogriffs. The ponies try to depart, but encounter Verko, Timon's distant and long-lost, forgotten cousin. The ponies realize they were sold out and try to leave, but Tempest shows up. Verko finds a waifu in Tempest and proceeds to squish her adorably squishy cheeks, but she proceeds to turn him into crispy fries, and he was never seen or heard from again. Seriously, he's not seen throughout the rest of the movie, so it's safe to assume he's dead. Yay! The main six escape through a window and make a hasty retreat through town via a giant windmill blade. This leads them to a dock where they barely manage to take refuge on a departing airship, which just so happens to be inhabited by pirates. Dun dun dun! Foreshadowing. Capper is captured by Tempest, and realizing the pony showed him true, genuine kindness, and he acted like a complete. He backtracks and gives Tempest the wrong direction they were heading in. Knowing he could and is most likely lying, she drags him aboard her ship anyway. The ponies are discovered by the pirates, and right when their captain, Solano, and her crew are about to throw them overboard, it's lunchtime! Yep, just like me at work, the pirates drop everything and go to lunch. The main six learn that the crew used to be a merry band of pirates. Sorry, treasure hunters. Before the Storm King made them become part of his delivery service, the UPPS, United Parrot Postal Service. Rainbow manages to convince them, through the fourth number in the movie, to shirk the Storm King and get the courage to be who they once were. All is fine until Rainbow's sonic rainboom alerts Tempest to their location. Tempest boards the ship and the ponies hide below deck. Solano refuses to speak of the ponies, thus Tempest gives her an option: tell their location or she destroys the ship. The ponies abandon ship, escaping through a door in the hull of the vessel. Twilight quickly creates a makeshift hot air balloon, using Spite to fuel the rig, and Rainbow steers them to Mount Ares, where the Hippogriff resides. Tempest destroys the ship anyway, showing the pirates the error of their betrayal, and leaving Capper on board to face the same fate as the pirates. At the village, the ponies find the city in dismay, long abandoned and overrun by moss and vines. First believing all hope is lost, they hear a sound and venture below, where they find a mysterious light. Diving into the water, they're flushed down into the depths. Running out of time and oxygen, the ponies succumb to their fate and the film ends. Nah. The ponies awaken to find they've been saved by bubble helmets created by the mysterious light. Turns out the light is a bubbly and optimistic sea pony named Skystar. She leads the ponies under the sea to her mother, the King Triton of this world. Turns out the sea ponies were once the legendary hippogriffs, but when the Storm King threatened them, the Queen used her magic to transform everyone into sea ponies where they could hide beneath the waves of the ancient city. Twilight asks for the Queen's help, but the Queen refuses, not wanting to jeopardize the safety of her people. Twilight, becoming desperate, asks her friends to keep Skystar busy. While a song ensues, the fifth in the film, Twilight tries to sneak in and grab the orb that transforms everyone into merponies. The Queen has a change of heart, but finds out Twilight tried to steal the orb, and banishes the ponies to the surface. On the shore, the gang question why Twilight did what she did. Her response was believing it was the only way to save Equestria. The ponies realize Twilight used them, and Twilight explains that they're not enough to save Equestria. Pinkie says Twilight doesn't trust her friends, and Twilight tells her she'd have been better off without them. And thus, we arrive at the conflict segment of our story. Twilight was beginning to doubt that friendship would be enough, and was tasking herself, and only herself, with the burden without acknowledging that her friends could help. Twilight instantly regrets what she said and how she felt, but before she could say or do anything, is captured by Tempest. On board Tempest's ship, we get the sixth song of the movie, and our villain song, and learn about Tempest's past. She once had friends and believed in friendship, but an encounter with an Ursa Minor resulted in her scar and her horn being broken off. Her friends went on to Celestia School for Gifted Unicorns, and Tempest believed they'd abandoned her. So she left on her own and turned her back on friendship, believing it had failed her. She sees a similarity between herself and Twilight, though, explaining that they were both abandoned by friendship. Twilight, however, says that it was herself that turned her back on friendship. Back on land, Spike informs the rest of the group of Twilight's capture, and also learn of Capper and Solano's survival. The two agree to help the ponies take down the Storm King, and then Skystar also returns, now in her natural hippogriff form, to aid the resistance. We get a scene cut to Canterlot where we see the residents caged and enslaved by the Storm Guards. Songbird sings a soft tune before seeing Twilight, the last hope they had, encaged. Twilight sees the destruction and harm the ponies have endured, now feeling like her whole world has crumbled at her hooves. In the throne room, the Storm King enters the picture and uses the staff to drain the magic from the princesses. He blows Twilight outside, deciding to play with her before killing her, but is then distracted by the knowledge he can move the sun and the moon, and turns into a power-crazed Rafiki as he begins to play with time. Why Doctor Who didn't show up at that point and park the TARDIS on his head, I'll never know. Outside Canterlot, Capper brings the cake into the main town square, where the ponies and pirates happen to be hiding in a Trojan horse kind of concept. They emerge from the cake and a battle ensues. Tempest sees the resistance carve their way through the storm troops to the castle, and the Storm King uses his newfound powers to create a hurricane in the plaza. Here I am, rock you like a hurricane. Tempest swears her loyalty to the king if he restores her horn, but he reveals he used her. He had no intentions of ever restoring her horn. He tries to blast her, but she dodges and manages to use her own unstable magic to knock him back, also knocking her off the balcony in the process. Twilight is given a decision, taking the staff from the Storm King or saving Tempest. She takes too long to decide and gets a game over. She grabs hold of Tempest, saving her. Tempest questions why Twilight saved her after everything she'd done, and the Alicorn's response, that's what friends do. Tempest's heart grows 3 sizes that day, and after being pulled back onto the balcony, the Storm King targets them. The rest of the main 6 launch themselves via party cannon up to the tower, where they send the Storm King through a window. Twilight tries to apologize, but the gang's already forgiven her. Amends are quickly made, and the gang team up for a final time button press in a race to beat the Storm King to the staff. With the final button press, Twilight jumps for the staff and grabs it before both her and the Storm King are sucked up by the Twister. Tempest watching in shock and horror as her new friend possibly just sacrificed her life for the sake of everyone. The rest of the storm-chasing crew pull up outside Canterlot as Bill and Joe, okay, different movie. The gang begins to believe Twilight bit the bullet, but she descends from the heavens like a phoenix rising from the ashes, hair ruffled and just plumb tuckered out. The gang embrace her, happy that she's alive. Tempest starts to take her leave, but sees the Storm King survived, and is just about to turn the ponies into obsidian. Thinking of Twilight's selfless sacrifice and of the strength of friendship, Tempest makes a sacrifice of her own, and jumps in front of the group, taking the blow as she and the Storm King are turned into obsidian. The Storm King falls to his death, breaking into pieces as Tempest is saved by the staff, Twilight being the wielder. The staff is placed into the keyhole as she seals Kingdom Hearts, and the magic returns to the princesses, freeing them and restoring the castle and Canterlot to their former glory, and restoring Derpy back to her lovable ditzy self. Songbird Serenade begins to perform the final song of the movie as everyone celebrates. Skystar's mother shows up to reveal her daughter is grounded for life and will not be getting the car for the next 6 months. Twilight sees Tempest off in the background and encourages her to join in the party. Tempest decides to show Twilight and everyone what she can do and uses her magic to create a beautiful firework display above the festivities. At Pinky's request, she also reveals her full name, Fizzlepop Berry Twist. The credits begin to roll as Sia's performance continues as we're shown a cute chibi-like animation. After this, we're treated to the final number, Off to See the World. That is if you stick around to hear it. Overall, the plot of the movie feels pretty solid. A new enemy enters the picture, and the main 6 are tasked with finding a way to defeat the enemy. Granted, the entrance of the enemy is sudden, but it does have a nice build throughout the film, and the climax and resolve is satisfying. The sudden entrance also works because of its effectiveness. Bad guys don't normally announce their arrival, so the sudden appearance works in Tempest's favor. The main 6 find whom they're tasked with, but Twilight is captured but later rescued by her friends. They secure the staff, defeat the bad guy, make a new ally, and enjoy the festivities. Overall, a really fun, cute, and exciting adventure along the way. The new areas seen in the movie are also a treat. A departure from the traditional locales, it's great to see more of the actual world outside of Ponyville and surrounding areas. Interestingly enough, with this plot, the elements of harmony are never mentioned. I rather like this, as it would feel like a cop-out if they were used here, considering the amount of times they've been used in the past. The concept is to defeat the bad guys without them, so that's a welcome change from the norm that we're used to. Twilight goes through similar emotions to those of the characters around her, unbeknownst to her. She doesn't trust Capper, yet betrays the trust of the hippogriffs. She once believed in friendship, but lost sight of that, allowing herself to make a similar mistake as Tempest. The adventure tests her beliefs and bonds with her friends, but does prove that their friendship is strong, and that teamwork and relying on each other was what they needed to do all along. If anything, this adventure has strengthened their friendship. Tempest, hands up, hooves down, was my favorite new character in the film. Strong, brave, smart, and also fragile, she feels natural. Her design is awesome and stands out from the other ponies, and her portrayal and overall character was a sheer delight. The voice actress did a phenomenal job as Tempest. Tempest felt like a character that has been where many of us have been before. She was like a hard dose of reality to Twilight's original beliefs, a contrast to it. Tempest felt betrayed by friendship, thus descended down a dark path in the hopes of regaining what she'd lost. She felt that you couldn't rely on friends or friendship, only yourself. However, when showed true, genuine friendship once more, she was able to see the wrong path she'd chosen and wanted to make things right. She opened up again, coming out of the shell she'd hidden herself away in, and befriended the main six, now being given a second chance. The movie also shows us her own transformation from the hurt unicorn she was to becoming a friend of the main six, overcoming her own demons and letting go of the past as she focuses on a brighter future. Tempest is definitely one of my favorite characters in this movie. Songbird Serenade is a very close second favorite. Her design is adorable, voice work is cute and fits her character, and from what we see of her in the film, she's fun, down to earth, and sweet. She's not portrayed as a snobbish sort, but instead a down to earth character who interacts with her fans in a playful manner, such as the cake line. Her ending performance is beautifully detailed and animated and really fits and adds a nice touch to the end of the movie. Solano is definitely my third favorite character. Her voice actress did a great job as her. I love her design. It's great to see a greater variety of animals and mammals outside of the ponies being seen. It adds more depth to the world and feels more real and alive. And the concept of pirates is also a great touch. The crew felt hindered, restrained by the Storm King, but was befriended by the ponies and their courage and vigor renewed, allowing them to become pirates again. Capper is another great character. The back alley, in debt, easy street living guy who swindles and cons his way out of jams. Yet he sees friendship and manages to use his wits to his and his new friend's advantage. I love his design, and his voice actor did a great job of his portrayal. For me, it felt like watching a smooth-talking Aladdin in cat variation. The Storm King, although he doesn't get much screen time as a villain, does have more minutes under his belt than King Sombra does. That being said, I liked him. He was comical, easygoing, and just a riot on screen. I do kind of wish he'd had a little more screen time, but what we did get was very comical as it was. He was more the villain that wasn't evil because of a past event like Tempest. He was just evil because it was fun for him. He reminds me of Hades in terms of his personality, how he speaks and how he addresses people. Like Hades, he's just a fun villain to watch. He also reminded me of Draken from Kim Possible. It's a comical thought, but Tempest seems like Shigo and the Storm King is like Draken. Sort of fits in this world, actually. Skystar is bubbly, energetic, fun-loving, and overall a fun character to watch. I loved her perky attitude and how she was brave enough to defy her mother to help her friends when they needed her. Skystar is definitely a fun character. Verko is as a thrown in for the heck of it villain, he is annoying. But I like how seeing him does add a sense of realism to the world in the sense that, like life, there are small villains all over. People that take advantage of you, swindle you, and just doesn't care. So while his presence is a chore to muddle through in the movie, it does add a deeper sense of realism. That being said, I'm glad he's dead. What? He's not dead? He's alive in the phone game? But I can kill him, right? Okay, he honestly doesn't survive if you've played the game. But I haven't finished that story to that point yet, so I don't know if I have that chance yet. The animation in this movie is beautiful. I'm very happy that they went with a traditional animation style instead of CGI for this film. It really made it stand out and just further proves that traditional animation is not dead and still deserves and has a place in cinema. The lush, beautiful backgrounds, bright and soft, vivid colors, shading, and effects are gorgeous and really help to put you into the movie, even if not in 3D. I truly appreciate the attention to detail that went into this film, not just with the background designs, but the character designs as well. Soft, slow movements, detailed facial expressions, and body language all help to convey the emotion that the characters are feeling. It feels natural and real. There is a ton of small details like head tilts, pupil shrinking or enlarging, eye movements, and mouth position changes that really add to the realistic feel of the characters. So many frames can be seen spent on just simple movements, and it really stands out and makes the movie feel that much more amazing. The character designs are different from the show, but still beautiful and cute in their own way, adding a unique identity to this movie all its own. It stands out on its own and separates itself from the series, adopting a look of its own. It looks and feels new yet similar at the same time. I love the style for this movie, and I'm personally happy that the animators went with the style for the film. The music in this movie is really good. I mean, headbanging good. The opening tune of Ponies Got the Beat is a wonderful introduction to the movie and really gets your foot tapping. It was one of my favorite tracks in the film. We Got This Together is a nice teamwork based song. While not my favorite song of the movie or the series, it is still a good song. I'm the Friend You Need is also a good song. It seems along the lines of something Genie from Aladdin might sing. I really enjoyed Capra's performance with this one. Again, not one of my personal favorites, but still fun. Time to Be Awesome was one of my more favorite songs in the movie. The voice work is really well done in this, and it's just a fun song to listen to. One Small Thing is another fun song to listen to. Not one of my favorites, but still a good song. Open Up Your Eyes is definitely one of my favorite tracks from the movie. It's powerful in its deliverance, the lyrics are relatable. As a villain song, it's perfect for Tempest. As a song on its own, it also has a great sense of relatability. Rainbow is another one of my favorite tracks from the movie. It fits perfectly with the ending of the movie and has some beautiful rhythms and lyrics. The lyrics also resonate with what Twilight had to go through throughout the movie, but also works well as a standalone song as well. Off to See the World during the credits is another one of my favorite songs. It's upbeat, fun, and a nice song to travel to. It also fits well with the theme of the movie. I love this movie. It was cute, fun, exciting, had some drama and comedy all rolled into one delicious treat. I love seeing the new characters introduced and the areas outside of Canterlot and Ponyville. The story was fun and also had some good dramatic moments. It was interesting seeing Tempest and how she evolved over time, beginning to question the Storm King and even her decision to work with him. She goes through a change, being offered friendship she doesn't deserve, and even sacrificing herself to repay Twilight for her kindness. In the end, she's redeemed, getting a second chance. Twilight goes through a similar concept. She put too much effort. She put too much of a burden on herself and wouldn't allow her friends to bear it, believing they alone were not enough to save Equestria. She became so desperate she stooped low enough to betray the hippogriff's trust and use her own friends as pawns. She realized she'd been screwing up, taking advantage of them and not trusting them. Twilight also gets redeemed and is given a new lesson about friendship in the process. There was also some really nice small details worked into the movie. Derpy being the one that took the blow for Twilight and saving her from becoming a lawn ornament, and there was some really adorable moments with Tempest. It was great to see that she wasn't serious all the time, and that there was a gentler, even sweet side to her. I love the first moment with her and the Storm King. First, the ringing of a cell phone, and then how she has to tell him which way to turn in order to see her. It felt realistic as a moment where an older individual who's not as connected with modern technology is being taught by someone who is used to it. This was a gem of a segment, and I loved it. Another segment I enjoyed was the scene in Canterlot where we see the ponies are now prisoners. It was a dark moment, but also added a nice touch to the dark tone of that moment. The slow pan of the camera during the scene also added to the ambience. I love the animation style for this movie. The effects and style blended together beautifully for some really gorgeous scenes throughout the film, such as the ending segment where Tempest creates the fireworks over Canterlot. The camera pans add a nice feeling in the scenes, giving the movie more life than just a stationary camera. Overall, this was a fun, cute, and exciting movie. For the first MLP film to actually feature the characters as ponies, I'd say this is a win. Yes, some will feel different, but that's fine. Even if you didn't like it, there is still the show itself. For me, I loved it, and I'm very happy that I got to see it. Well, that was my review on the My Little Pony movie. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.